106, I think, still has a very clean approach and follows all the rules and is serving the residents well. I liked your comment, in fact, about this is not about us, it's about the city, it's about Roseville, and that's really what we have to follow.
I am concerned about what appears to be a gerrymandered district, and it would appear that the district as drawn now would leave each city council member, just by coincidence, living in a district. And then forward-looking to draw the districts and more in accordance with 106.
There's two of us here this evening, and I'd like to echo his comment. Is you know, the redistricting as proposed really isn't going to affect us as much. So it ought to be noted that two of us coming out of the woodwork like that, there might be a problem.
And yet we end up this funny, slimy little octopus gerrymandered thing that puts the people on East Roseville wandered clear over to somebody who's got one arm clear in my neighborhood. This is just bad. This is not okay. The people that live east of 80 deserve to have a representative who lives east of 80, and you've set yourself up so that you've retained your own seats and the potential for the people who live east of that 80 corridor to never get a representative. Jim would have said this is not about you, and oh boy, these 117 and 117B is all about you getting reelected again. And it's and this whole scare tactic about the whole safe harbor thing, that's fear mongering. No one has set a lawsuit. The city council set this all up by themselves. There are no demands. There is time to take another breath, take a look at this, and act on the city's behalf, not on your own behalf.
Creating such a loophole is inconsiderate of the votes of the people who would actually expect the city council member they actually voted for to have equal access to being mayor as everyone else in the city. Such denial may also be unlawful. I don't understand how you can support an obviously gerrymandered map in 117B that prioritizes incumbency and candidacy over communities of interest. That map creates multiple districts that divide communities of interest east of I-80 while using commercial property as the only connector between communities that are on opposite sides of the interstate. This map alone opens the city of Roseville for reasonable suspicion if one was to litigate any of the decisions regarding district elections. The reasonable suspicion is gerrymandering for the purpose of incumbency. On October 23rd, Mayor Allard noted that, quote, "Let's not look at where my house is. Gerrymandering," unquote. Vice Mayor Bernasconi noted, quote, "Avoid perception of gerrymandering. It's bad to make districts for each of us." And Councilmember Howdeshelt attached comments on how wrong it is for considering where council members live. The varieties of map 117 are the only maps that seem to prioritize where each council member currently lives. If one attempts to split the city horizontally, vertically, along natural boundaries, along communities of interest, along major streets, it is impossible to arrive at maps 117 or 117B. It's not possible without determining that incumbency is more important than all other factors. As a citizen of East Roseville for nearly 15 years, I erred in assuming that the council would actually adopt a map that maintained the obvious communities connections that I cherish in East Roseville. It seems that there's an false premise of an inactive neighborhood association being less of importance or less of a community than an active neighborhood association. Both decisions are wrong, and the maps chosen and the selection of mayor are disappointing, and I believe below what I've come to know and respect of each of you. I beg you to reconsider. Please do not approve this ordinance. Thank you.
I'd like to voice my opposition to both the selection of map 117B and the selection of mayor by appointment. As you know, I've been participating in this from the very start. Just to follow up with what Lemille said on the rotating mayor in the first meeting, we took a lot of public comment when we were trying to decide between 4 districts and a single mayor or 5 districts and a rotating mayor. And as far as I remember, everybody suggested rotating mayor, including some of the council members. And yet, what got voted through? The appointment. I don't remember anybody in the audience asking for an appointed mayor. So I don't know where that came from. On the map itself, when the vote came down yesterday, or at the last meeting, it was unanimous that everybody that spoke wanted map 106. Yet council unanimously voted for 117B, which nobody in the audience voted for. So I agree with the Mills. This looks bad, and people that are on the outside are going to look at that map, and just from the looks of it, it's going to look gerrymandered. They're going to review the data, which shows that you voted for a map that nobody wanted and voted against the map that people did want, and you're going to open yourself up to lawsuit. So I strongly recommend that you reconsider map 106 and rotating mayor. Thank you.
I would ask and echo the comments of the people before me to reconsider the map. I am in strong opposition of 117B, and I encourage you all to consider 106 and the adoption of 106, which clearly benefits all of the residents of Roseville, not just a few.
I'm here to talk about the map and my neighborhood and really ask of you to do the right thing for our neighborhood. I went ahead and, a lot of people learn by seeing, and I think that visual of the map and how it goes and how Mayor Allard's home is in the very end of that area, and he serves close to my home and all the way over to East Roseville. And I was just shocked when I saw this, and others saw it as well. I had also heard that one of the reasons that our neighborhood was divided up was because we were an inactive neighborhood association. I've lived there for 30 years. I believe it was Bill Santucci that actually helped my neighborhood build a median in the area. We've always been involved. I've had one of Pauline's signs in my yard. We've been good Roseville neighbors to the entire community. This is self-serving. It serves you. It does not serve us. And you take away our power of our vote when you break up the neighborhood as you do. And yes, you're all council members, and you, Mayor, are a council member. But when I think of a mayor, maybe because I'm over 50, I think, oh, the mayor's a big deal. The mayor is a big deal. And when the mayor won't listen to your neighborhood and wants to do things like this that are self-serving, it's a problem. You're dividing up communities. You're devaluing our votes, and it is not okay. We liked the 106. The reason we couldn't even speak about the 106 was because we were told by council members and by staff, you can improve 117B, make improvements. So we worked diligently to make sure that every single one of the neighborhood associations was accounted for and was not disrupted. Yours did not. You disrupted my neighborhood and other neighborhoods, and that is not okay. You don't get to say, oh, you've been inactive, so therefore we're going to give you this. That's not okay, and it doesn't work that way. Roseville is a wonderful city. I love Roseville, and I'm counting on you to do the right thing.
And so I looked at this map, and I had a lot of concerns, specifically because I'm in a neighborhood that is being divided up. Now, I've been told, don't worry about that. We're all going to represent you. And while I appreciate that all of you are great people, I like to have a little more of an accountability mechanism than just, hey, you can trust me. I love Roseville. It's because it makes us small. And we can't hold you accountable when you have the power and we're too small. And so I was told that this system, this process is too far along. There's nothing we can do. 106 was a way better map than this. But I was told 106 isn't going to happen. There was obviously a reason that in the last meeting, people didn't vote for 106.
When I first spoke before this body, it was in pursuing something. And I started out by saying, we the people, in order to form a more perfect union. And that I had prepared something, but in terms of speaking to this, but when I heard, which is why I waited until last, most of the others that spoke, I realized that I had been duped, okay, because I was so certain that 106 was the chosen map until I hear it's 117. So that's why I say duped. So I don't want to be complicit in going along with what is being stated and presented by the council for us to enact a districting concept into Roseville. And it said at the last council meeting in October, the audience voted on the top 5 or 6 maps presented. The council began deliberation on the map selected by the audience, the residents. The selection narrowed down to 2 or 3 maps, choices heavily going towards 106 at that time. That's why I thought I was duped. What boils me is that people don't participate, don't show up, but have a lot to say about the final outcome, attaching unwarranted labels, and that's when I thought it was not gerrymandering, but as I look at 117, it is clearly gerrymandering.
I'm here today to express my serious concern about the votes that took place at the last meeting selecting map 117B and self-selecting mayor. We have been having public hearings, and I have been participating from the beginning, as well as developed a map that was considered a focus map. I feel it was a farce because there is not one of you that took any public comments to your interest. You completely voted against what everybody said. To be honest, it felt like all of you had already decided on your map selection prior to the last public hearing, which, by the way, was unanimous for map 106, as well as for rotating mayor. Not a single one of you wanted to go first and announce your map selection. It was quite awkward, actually, because it was not the selection of the unanimous map at the public hearing, and it seemed you all had already decided on your map. I gave my comments on map 117B. It is not compact as 106 is. It divides many more neighborhoods than 106 does, and clearly has gerrymandered appearance with the crescent shape, no rhyme or reason to the district lines, in case anybody couldn't see that on the last one that was posted over here on the right-hand side. No rhyme or reason to district lines that span a distance of over 10 miles in District 1. The only obvious conclusion anyone looking at this map could come up with is that it was designed to let each one of you keep your seat on the city council. As was clearly stated in the slideshow by the demographers, in addition to the federal requirements, that traditional redistricting principles included communities of interest, compact, contiguous, visible natural and man-made boundaries, respect of voters' choices, continuity in office, planned future growth. Map 106 keeps more communities together, has clear visible boundaries, is compact, contiguous, and has been the public's top choice both on October 23rd and unanimously on November 6th. In addition, 3 council members selected 106 on October 23rd, Alvord, Bernasconi, and Allard. It also leaves room for growth on the west side to break up and add additional districts if necessary, with the least amount of disruption on the other districts. The public and myself, who designed maps, did what Mayor Allard directed. We ignored where the current council members resided and attempted to design a map that best kept our neighborhoods together. My map, for the record, was a focus map, but I abandoned it for map 106, which did a much better job of doing just that. I encourage you to do the right thing and reconsider the selection of maps to both do what's right for the communities, as well as remove any appearance of gerrymandering, which there is great appearance of, which will surely cause further contention with the constituents. And once again, a nice quote that was made earlier today, it's not about you, it's about Roseville.
I'd like to strongly urge the council not to adopt this ordinance, rather to amend it. There's obviously significant public support for a different map.
I am going to be very brief. I'm not going to take up the 5 minutes, but I am in essence echoing all of the remarks that have been made here tonight between the choices that have been made and in those cases inflicted on this community.
Map 106 has the advantage of being fully fleshed out as one of the 4 original focus maps that the council chose and that have been before the public for the last 3 weeks. So it seems to me that it would be something to easily amend the ordinance if an amendment is needed, and obviously legal counsel would have to rule on that. But it would allow us to stay on schedule and clearly meet the support of the public who have spoken now 2 meetings in a row on this very important issue.
To introduce for first reading an ordinance of the Council of the City of Roseville adding Chapter 2.06 of Title II of the Roseville Municipal Code regarding district-based municipal elections, thereby adopting map 117B. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Councilmember Alvord. Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
Councilmember Haddashelt.
Yes.
And Mayor Allard.
Yes.
We should take